Hello everyone and welcome to the third webinar in 12D's training webinar series. My name is Lisa Stewart and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator at 12D Solutions. While we wait for everyone to finish joining, I'll launch a polling question. You'll have about 30 seconds to answer about whether you use customized symbols and line styles, and then I'll show the results. Okay, it looks like most people are using customized symbols and line styles, so I'll hand over to Paul shortly for a lot of information on that. Our 12D training webinars will showcase common industry challenges, taking a close look at industry best practices and how these can be implemented using 12D model software. The aim of these webinars is to upskill 12D model users and broaden their understanding of the capabilities of 12D model. We also run regular training courses all around Australia and New Zealand, so see our website for more details on these or indicate in your post-webinar survey that you'd like to be contacted about this or in-house training. We'll be running these webinars regularly and recording them for posting on YouTube and through our website. Our first 2 webinars from this training series, as well as the first 7 webinars from our Industry Solutions series, are also already available online if you missed those. During this live presentation, you'll be able to type your questions along the way as shown on the screen, and we'll answer as many as possible throughout the webinar. At the end, I'll also read out some of your questions to the presenter for his insights if there's time. Today's webinar on creating symbols and line styles will be presented by Paul Hardwick, who has been in the civil construction industry for 16 years. He has worked as a construction surveyor on small and large-scale projects, and has had many years of experience contracting to local authorities carrying out detail surveys for pre-design works. Paul has been with 12D Solutions for the past 4 years in a training and support role. This training webinar will demonstrate creating symbols and line styles in 12D model. Line styles and symbols are used to tell a story about data that has been plotted or is still inside a software package. They help the viewer understand the intent of a line or point just by looking at the data. Examples of this would be top of batter, sewer maintenance holes, telecommunication lines, and many more. 12D model ships with a large library of line styles and symbols that have been compiled by 12D trainers with many years of experience in the surveying and civil design industries. If the supplied libraries do not meet your company's needs, 12D provides an easy solution to create your own. In this webinar, Paul Hardwick will be discussing the difference between line styles and symbols and their uses within 12D model, as well as an overview of creating and editing line styles and symbols. Over to you, Paul.
Thanks very much, Lisa, and welcome everybody to this webinar. So as Lisa mentioned in the intro, that in version 11 you may have noticed that if you're using version 11 out of the box, their line styles and symbol libraries have increased. This is due to the fact that many people from other countries may not have the access to organisations like Transport and Main Roads, RMS, local councils with their line styles and symbol libraries. So we provide an out-of-the-box solution for those ones who are isolated. One of the other things we get asked often is what line styles and symbols am I using in my current project? In the output window, down in the bottom left-hand corner, on the loading project, under setup files, you can see the files that have been found for this project. So if I scroll down a little bit, you see here it's using a file from the program files, setups, linestyle.4d, and symbol.4d. The way 12D operates with loading what files, first of all, it will look in your local working folder and looks for files called symbols.4d or linestyles.4d. Alternatively, it also looks for files called user_linestyle.4d and user_symbols.4d. If it does not find these in your local working folder, it will then search your user folder. If it doesn't find the files there, then it will go back to the default area in the program files, as what we have here. So to demonstrate some of the different line styles and symbols, because there can be confusion about a line style symbol and an actual symbol. So to show this, I just want to create a symbol that has been set up as a line style. So there are some authorities that do use this style of symbols. So under the line style here, if I hit all, we'll come down here, you can see north points. There they can be a line style. And then also I've got one here called air valve. So if I select that, and when I create a point, if I zoom in, you can see that it looks like a symbol. Now if I try and edit the symbol over here, the edit, when I try and pick on it, it doesn't recognize that there's a symbol there. That's because this is a line style. Now if I was to make a true line style, a true symbol, using the same option here, so under symbols, there's some north points again, and then here we should have air valve. And if I create a point here, I get an actual symbol. And if I edit the symbol, it gives me the option to be able to change the height, change the rotation, and not that it's recommended, but you can also change the justification point as well. The line styles don't have that capability. The other thing you'll notice, and we get questions about this quite often, is you see a little point in the center of my symbol. People don't want to see this point, so the way to avoid the point showing up in the middle of the symbol is when you create any symbols, change the line style to 0, which means don't display the line style. So when I create a point, I get my symbol color there with no point. Now I've got it set here that I wanted something that was white. Now it's come out red, so that's controlled by the symbol data panel here. So if I hit edit, if I clear out red and hit set, when I create a point, it should use the default color from here. So the symbol data overrides what's in the CAD control bar. So there's a few things to do with symbols and line styles. So I'll just go to delete that data. So now we know the difference between some of the symbols and line styles. We can start creating our own. So the first one I'd like to show is a world line style. So an example of a world line style would be something like a top of batter, where if I change my plot scale, I don't want the ticks of the batter to get so long that they overlap onto other strings. So a world scale would be appropriate for a top of batter string. But you'll have to make your own decision on your settings that your company likes. So I'm just going to change the model up here to demo 1. And I'm going to change my line style back here to a solid line 1. And I'm going to get rid of this symbol out of here. Okay, so to create my line style, I'm just going to start a traverse over here. So CAD traverse. So I'm going to start this at a coordinate of 0, space 0, enter, and put a bearing in of 90, enter, and a distance of 5, enter. Then I can just hit escape. Now I want to create a batter tick that comes down from the mid segment of this line here. I'm still in my traverse option, so I don't need to start that. All I need to do is pick the start position for my traverse, so I can right click, hover out on SnapsCAD, hover out on point, and because I want to do a few of these things later on, I will just pin that up there. So I choose mid segment. Now it asks me to pick and accept my segment, and there's the start point for my traverse. So I want to go straight down, so I can just type in 180 for my bearing, enter, and I'll do a distance of 1. enter. So that's my first batter tick. And now I want to do another batter tick just off to the end here. So I can pick this end of that string and accept, 180, enter, 0.5, enter. Then I can hit escape. So that's what I want my line style to look like. So to create a line style, I can click on my line style icon and select edit. As you can see, the panel name here is create, edit, delete. So you can do all three of those. So here I'll just change it from edit to create. The line style name, I'll call it demo 1. And I'm going to put it into a group called demo. For the line style type, I select world. And to select the line style, I can just draw a rectangle around the data that I want to use. So now for the origin of where my line style is created, this is where I want, when I create the string, I want the line style to be depicted by the center of at the top here. So for the origin in the Y, I'll put that as 0. If I put in 0.5, the line will be up here and my line style will be off my actual line. So that's why I've specifically CAD'd this string with a Y of 0. The X is not important because it's a linear feature that will continue to replicate itself over and over again. So now I can just hit process. So by hitting process, that stores this line style in temporary memory so that it will be available to use for this time only inside 12D. If I want to use it other times when I open up 12D, I'll have to write it away to either my current working folder or to my user folder. Before we do this, it's always a good idea to test our line style before committing it to our library. So I've just got a testing view here, and I'm just going to type in L into my toolbar here, which will set back everything to line, a model of CAD, and I can choose my line style here under the demo 1. Now I can just create a line. And you can see my line style looks like what I wanted. So I'm happy with my line style. So now I can just hit the write button, and here I can choose to write it away to my current folder. So it'll be available for me to open it up and use again next time I open this project. If you're setting this up for a user situation, what I would recommend is create it in the working folder. Then when you modify things, you can then go and add it to your user folder later on. So I'll just hit the write, and that's written that away. I'll hit finish. So that's a world line style. So no matter how much I change my plot scale here, it won't change how that line style looks on the screen, because that's a world, so that will be 1 meter in world coordinates. Now we'll work on a paper line style. So this would be something like a service where you have a letter or some text in the string where you want it to change height depending on the size that you're plotting at, so that you can always read it in the plot. So once again, that's up to you to decide how big that is, whether you use world or paper. There's also pixel as well. So up here, I'll clear out some of this and I'll create another code here called another model, sorry, demo 2. Change my line style to 1, and I'll just turn off this CAD model. And so once again, I'll create a string using the Travis option and start it at 0 space 0, enter, bearing of 90, enter, and a distance of 20. Now 20 meters here will come out as 20 millimeters in paper size. So now I want to leave a gap after this straight 20 millimeter line so that I can put a bit of text in here. So to make it easy for myself, I'll just create a point using the bearing and distance, pick on the end of the string and accept, and type in 90, enter, and I want to leave a gap of 5, enter. Then I can hit escape. So now it's time to put a piece of text into the gap here. So on the text control bar, I'll choose this Arial, and I'm just going to set some of the predefined settings here. So I'll just hit the double A's here and hit edit, and I need it to be in world units. It's important that you remember that. This needs to be in world, and the height there, although it's so that's 2.5, so once that comes out, that'll be 2.5 millimeters on the paper. I'm going to set the offset, the justify here, to middle center, and then I can hit set. Ooh, I think it just wants me to fill out this. Normal, no, 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 set. So now I can create a piece of text. So on my CAD toolbar, there's create, pick position. Now on my snaps CAD, I can use the midpoint, which enables me to pick this point and accept. Then wherever I drag, it finds the middle point of that. Pick that point and accept. Then I can type the text that I want to be in there. So I'm just going to use the capital E for electricity or whatever you like it to be, and then hit OK. There's my bit of text. So I can just hit escape. So now it's time to create the line style for this. So I can click on my line style box, click on edit, and once again just change it to create. And this one I'll call demo 2. And the group, it's already created a group from the previous line style, so I can pick that one there. This time I'll choose paper. And once again I can pick my data, and I can pick it by the model as well. So once again, I just need to fill out the origin for the Y, which will be 0. And the others I can leave default and then hit process. So before I write that away, I'll just go into my testing. And choose my line style called demo 2. And create a string. And there's my line style. Now this one here, you'll note that when I change my settings here to a different scale, the text size should change. I didn't change it to paper. That's a good thing I tested. Paper, process. It'll ask me here, do you want to change, replace it? Select yes. So now when I change my scale, you should see the text change size. So that's how it will work. When you plot a scale of 250, that's the size that'll come out. And then when you change it back up to 1000, you'll see that that changes. So that's the difference between paper and world, you can see there. Okay, so I'm happy with that, so I'll write that out. Right. And so that's updating my library there. The next one is a 2-point line style. So this would be, a good example would be a gate or something like that, or a pit that you want to show. So we'll create a pit. It's at the top. I'll call this one demo 3 and change my line style back to 1 and get rid of this CAD model. And I'll draw a rectangle with width and height. So starting at 0, 0, 0, space 0, and I'll do a width of 2, enter, and a height of 1, enter. So for this one, I can change it to demo 3, and I'll change this to 2 point, and I can select my data select my rectangle. Oops, in actual fact, before I get too carried away, I'll just draw a little diagonal line across here, just for a bit of extra detail. So now I can draw my rectangle around my data. And for my X origin, it'll be 0, so that's this point here. So I'll just put in 0. And the Y origin will actually be here, which is 0.5. So in here I'll put 0.5. Origin 2 will be 2 in the X and 0.5 in the Y. So when you stretch this, you get the option to stretch it in one direction or in both directions. So as it gets longer, it will also get wider if you choose both directions. If you choose one direction, it's just going to stretch it in the X, which is good for something like a gate because you don't want the posts to be really big, you just want to stretch it out. So depending on what you're trying to use this for, you'll choose either one direction or both directions. So I'll just hit process and we'll go test that out. And I'll choose my line style, demo 3. So that's in one direction. And if I change it to both directions, process, replace, you can see that it does that. So the smaller I make it, the narrower it will be. So once again, that's up to you to decide how you want to create that. So the next one is a 3-point line style. So here I'll just cheat and add on my demo 3 model, which has already got what I need, and I'll change this here to a 4. And I'll change this to demo 3, oh, sorry, to 3-point. Choose my rectangle, pick the data. So this is a bit of an odd one that not many people might use, but it can come in handy for a few things. So this relies on the fact that you have 3 points on your string, minimum of 3, otherwise it won't make sense. So the origin X will be, origin 1X will be down in this bottom left hand corner, so that'll be 0 and 0. Origin 2 will be this bottom right hand side, so that'll be 2 and 0. And the third point will be this one up here, so that will be 2 and 1. Correct? Yeah. So now I hit process, and to test that, come over here and I'll change my line style to demo 4. So like I said, for this to be able to work, I have to create at least 3 points on the string. So I'll use my CAD line string, pick the first point and accept, pick the second one. You get this sort of thing until you pick the third one. So with the third one, it's just deciding how big to make it. So the rotation of it is defined by the first 2 points, and then the width is decided by the third point. So hit escape there. That's the sort of thing that you'll get. So I'll just write that away. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we're going to look at paper symbol. So a paper symbol, another example would be like a maintenance hole symbol or something like that. Something where it's got text in it that you want it to read. A world size symbol could be something like a tree where you want it to scale based on maybe a spread or something like that that you give it. So it's, once again, it's completely up to the user of how they want to create their symbols, whether they want them to get bigger when they change the plot or whether they want them to stay the same size. So over here I'll change this to demo, I think I'm up to 5, And over here, I'll change that back to 1. And I'm going to create a symbol circle. So under the CAD circle, there's center and radius. So I'll just type in 0 space 0, and my radius is going to be 1.5. Now to create some text, once again I can fill out my text bar. So here I have Arial, and same thing as last time, it needs to be world, and I'll change the height here to 1.5, and I'll change it to middle center, normal, no, and set. So now when I create some text, pick the center of my circle and accept, and I'll put in here an H. Okay, there's my height. It's a little bit off, so to change my height I can just pick above the right angle bracket, the widget here, and that allows me to change the size, so I'll just bring it in a little bit and then escape. So to create my symbol, I just come over to my symbol icon this time and hit edit, and symbol name, we can start back at demo 1, and we'll put it into a group called demo. So I don't have a group called demo in this because this is now my symbols.4d, not my line styles anymore. So symbol type, I'll change that to paper, and I'll pick my model here as my data source, and the origin will be 0 in the X, 0 in the Y. And so I just hit process. Now to test it, I can choose my symbol, and I'll put this onto the CAD model. So remember from before, if I don't want that point to show up, just change the line style to 0. So when you create a point, you'll get something like that. And remember the symbol control, I change this to no color, set, finish, create a point. It will change the color to whatever was set in default over here. So nice and simple to create those line styles and symbols. The last one I have here is just for something different, is an embedded color. So when I plot the symbol, I want it to have the white and the red shown differently. So to do this, if I change this to demo 2, I'll leave it as paper. My model will be that model there. Origins will be the same. I can change this here to untick no embedded colors, so that will embed colors into the symbols. So when I hit process, it creates that symbol. Now I should be able to go test that by picking my demo, and I'll just make sure that I don't have a color set in here. No color, set, finish, create a point, and you see you get the multicolors like that. That may come in handy for a few different things, having the different colors, in particularly company logos and things like that you may want to put onto a symbol with multiple colors and things like that. It looks quite good. So now to save this off and so that we can use them later on, I'll make sure I hit right on that, write away my folder. So now these have been stored into my working folder. So that I can get the benefit of using my custom line styles and symbols and be able to still use 12D's standard install ones, I'm going to do a bit of editing here now. So I open up the working folder with the toolbar, and you can see there's my line styles.4d, line styles and symbols.4d. Now, so that I also get the ones that 12D installs in program files, I need to change the name of those to user underscore line style and user underscore symbol. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Change this one to user underscore. And user underscore. So when 12D wrote these symbols and line styles out, it made a collection of every symbol that was in the library and wrote every symbol into that file. So you can see the file sizes are quite big. It's unnecessary for what we need. So the only ones that we want to keep in there are our custom ones. So if we open this up in a text editor, we can delete out the ones that we don't need, that are 12D's ones that are in the program files. So I open this up in my default text editor. If I come right to the end of the page, so down to the bottom, this is my line styles that I've created. You can see here demo 2 and demo 1. So anything above that is 12Ds. I don't need that. So what I can do is just click above this one, and I'll hold down Control Shift and hit the Home button. And what that does, takes you to the top of the page and highlighting all the text, and I can just delete that out. So I'll save that off and close it down. Now I can do the same thing with my line styles, user line styles. Open that up, go to the bottom. So I hit Control End, that takes me to the bottom, and you can see there's my demo 4, demo 3, demo 2, and demo 1. So from there up, I can get rid of. So Control Shift Home, delete, save, close, and close that. So now I can either keep them just in my working folder just for this project, or I can add them into my user folder, line styles. So now when I restart 12D, it will reload 12D with the line styles and symbols that have been saved in the user line styles and user symbols. Just window, it's hiding behind here. So you can still see that there's my demo ones. So that's it for line styles and symbols. So if you have any questions, as Lisa said, just type them into the window as shown.
Thanks, Paul. I think we've got time just maybe for one question. Jake would like some more information on the embedded color option you were looking at earlier in the webinar. He just wanted to know what that means.
So Jake, the embedded color means that whatever color that you plot, that you CAD your strings with, when you create a symbol, if you don't have a symbol in color in the symbol data box, it will then adopt the symbols, the colors from the symbol file. So it's good for having multiple colors in the symbols.
Thanks for that, Paul. That's about all we've got time for in the live Q&A today. Sorry to those whose questions we couldn't get to live, but we'll definitely get back to you individually afterwards. The recording of this webinar will be available in coming days through our website and our YouTube channel. Our next 2 training webinars will be 12D field measurement rounds on the 31st of May and layered subgrade for construction on the 15th of June. And in case you haven't heard, as showing on the screen, we're also holding What's New in 12D webinars from the 24th to the 26th of May. We'll also be continuing our Industry Solutions webinar series next week, so do see our website for details of all of those. We'll keep updating the website with many more topics in coming weeks and also keep you posted through email and social media. And don't forget, we've also got our next 12D International Conference this July with the associated Innovation Awards. The awards closing date is the end of May, so if you haven't submitted your entry, you've still got a little time. If you need to contact us in the meantime, our details are on the screen now. That concludes our presentation for today. Thank you for attending, and we hope to see you at future webinars.